bilang adalah...
Aren't you all tired of all this information? All these misleading titles and all you want is just to get straight to the point? Let's say goodbye to them and join IGCSEflix.com so that you can experience the difference.
So the question is, which comes first, chicken or egg?
I don't know.
Zai, there's no wrong answer here. Mommy won't scold you one, okay?
Chicken?
Chicken?
Egg!
Hey, simple question like this also you don't know.
I thought there's no wrong answer.
Are you having a hard time finding a mentor for your education? Sign up at IGCSEflix.com so you can know the difference with our top-notch teachers.
Hey, you. Who are you? You know the answer, is it?
我不知道，
You know the answer.
我不知道，我不知道。
What was the hardest subject during your SPM?
Additional mathematics.
Maths.
I'd say at maths lah.
Sejarah.
Chemistry.
Science?
Bahasa Melayu.
Mathematics.
Bio. Betul tak bio tu? Dia ada kingdom of plantae, ada animal, ada algae lagi. Can you share a piece of advice for this year SPM candidate?
You've got only one job to do. That is to study. So just study.
Don't ever like ponteng classes.
Tuition. Go for tuition and then do a lot of exercises.
Oh, I think you just have to do a lot of exercise until you're familiar with your exam questions.
Just practice more.
Don't like get distracted easily. You are like losing out of like time.
Okey, 1, 2, 3. Mula jualan. Si jualan dulu tak? Tiba-tiba tolak pulangan jualan. 1, 2, 3. Pandai. Tiba-tiba tolak. Apa masuk pula? Dah salah lirik. Ini kalau masuk pertandingan menyanyi dia kena buang. Okey. 3, 2, 4.
Jualan bersih.
Up. Jualan bersih. Kenalah ada jualan bersih. Nyanyi. La 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 la. Tak dengar suara? La la. Mula.
Jualan.
Apa nak jadi dengan kau ni, Dek? Exam nak dekat, tapi tak selesai study lagi. Mana duit yang Mama bagi untuk beli buku rujukan tu? Kamu beli game ke?
Headshot.
Kamu jangan beli yang bukan-bukan, Kalau duit rujukan tu habis, mana Mama nak cari duit lagi? Apa ni?
Sebenarnya adik dah beli telur komak pakai duit mak sebab telur komak kan macam dah lusuh je.
Habis tu buku-buku rujukan adik macam mana pula?
Adik dah register dengan SPMflix untuk bahan rujukan dan seminar SPM. Semua free, tak payah bayar apa-apa pun.
Mak tak sangka adik ni understanding juga.
Why pay when you can get it for free?
Wow!
Test mic. Test 1 2 1 2. Test mic 1 2. Test mic 1 2. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Aku fail BM, so korang kena, that's why korang kena datang SPM seminar supaya tak fail BM. Each 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay. Each 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. All right.
Many students make huge mistakes.
What school is not teaching you is
Elon Musk's secret to being successful is
Rahsia untuk menjadi pelajar cemerlang adalah
Aren't you all tired of all this information? All these misleading titles and all you want is just to get straight to the point? Let's say goodbye to them and join IGCSEflix.com so that you can experience the difference.
So the question is, which comes first, chicken or egg?
I don't know.
Zai, there's no wrong answer here. Mommy won't scold you one, okay?
Chicken?
Chicken?
Egg!
Egg. Simple question like this also you don't know.
I thought there's no wrong answer.
Are you having a hard time finding a mentor for your education? Sign up at IGCSEflix.com so you can know the difference with our top-notch teachers.
Hey, you. Who are you? You know the answer, is it?
我不知
You
道
know the answer.
我不知道我不知道
What was the hardest subject during your SPM?
Additional mathematics.
At maths. At math. At maths. I'd say at maths lah.
Sejarah.
Chemistry.
Science.
Bahasa Melayu, mathematics.
Bio. Betul tak bio tu? Dia ada kingdom of plantae, ada animal, ada algae lagi. Can you share a piece of advice for this year SPM candidate?
You've got only one job to do, that is to study. So just study.
Don't ever like ponteng classes.
Tuition, go for tuition and then do a lot of exercises.
Or I think you just have to do a lot of exercise until you're familiar with your exam questions.
Just practice more.
Don't like get distracted easily. You are like losing out of like time.
Okey, 1, 2, 3. Mula jualan. Si jualan dulu tak? Tiba-tiba tolak pulangan jualan. 1, 2, 3. Pandai. Tiba-tiba tolak. Apa masuk pula? Dah salah lirik. Ini kalau masuk pertandingan menyanyi dia kena buang. Okey. 3, 2, 4.
Jual bersih.
Up. Jualan bersih. Kenalah ada jualan bersih. Nyanyi. La 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 la. Tak dengar suara? La la. Mula.
Nyanyi.
Apa nak jadi dengan kau ni, Dek? Exam nak dekat, tapi tak selesai study lagi. Mana duit yang Mama bagi untuk beli buku rujukan tu? Kamu beli game ke?
Headshot.
Kamu jangan beli yang bukan-bukan, Kalau duit rujukan tu habis, mana Mama nak cari duit lagi? Apa ni?
Sebenarnya adik dah beli telekong mak pakai duit mak. Sebab telekong mak kan macam ada lusuh je.
Habis tu buku-buku rujukan adik macam mana pula?
Adik dah register dengan SPMflix untuk bahan rujukan dan seminar SPM. Semua free, tak payah bayar apa-apa pun.
Mak tak sangka adik ni understanding juga.
Why pay when you can get it for free?
December, we have this Tanya Cikgu Live on TikTok. Okay, December dah habis. Now January, you guys preparing for your exam. Betul tak? Okay, tapi akan nak bagi tahu, in February nanti, kita akan ada another Tanya Cikgu Live on TikTok for certain subject. Okay, subject dia adalah Maths, Chemistry, Economy, Principal Account, Biology and Perniagaan. You can go to our website to see more, or lebih senang, you can follow us on Instagram and also TikTok. Okay? TikTok live mestilah kat TikTok. Okay, kita tak akan buat dekat Instagram. Alright? Okay, so before kita start, have a seat. Yang tadi pergi toilet ni dah balik, boleh have a seat. Okay? So before kita start, I rasa semalam ramai yang tak datang. All of you are first day here. Or you came yesterday? Where is your pocket file? Pocket file kita yang mahal tu mana? Did you bring it? No? Okay lah. I merajuk dengan you 1 minute, okay? Alright. Siapa yang datang semalam and then today and you receive the pocket file, please bring it whenever you come to SPM seminar, because nanti you guys akan dapat stickers at the end of the session. And that stickers, kalau you participate, kita nak bagi you hadiah, contest, okay? How lucky you are. Free SPM seminar and then we have a lot of contests for you tau. Okay, so what you need to bring, the booster notes and also the pocket file. Each subject, kita akan bagi you different notes, okay? Alright, so this is a few features for online student. Kalau you guys nak tahu lebih lanjut, you can go to our website or you can follow our Instagram and also TikTok. Alright, and then please tekan screen tu banyak-banyak sampai keluar love terapung apa semua tu. Okay, and also share the link dekat you punya kawan-kawan. This is the features available for you. We have SPM in 100 minutes and learning content. If you nak excel in your subject dalam masa 100 minit, we summarize everything for you. You pergi dekat website tu. And this seminar will be recorded. Okay, this seminar will be recorded. Within 2 working days, kita akan upload dekat dalam kita punya SPM contents. Okay, you just need to go to our website. Okay, and kita ada past year question and we have SPM communities also. Kalau you guys ada question nak tanya and your school teacher are not available, maybe diorang busy jadi pengawas exam or something kan, you guys boleh pergi dekat SPM communities, pergi dekat tanya cikgu. Cikgu kat situ akan assist your question less than 24 hours. Welcome. Okay. Alright, and then kita ada app. How many of you download kita punya app? Tak download? Kenapa tak ada phone ke? Tak ada phone? Tak tahu? Okay, now akak bagi tahu. Kita ada app. You guys boleh spend more time on phone. Okay, yakinkan your parents that you can spend more time on phones. Tapi you guys actually belajar. Bukanlah tengok TikTok or search on. But it's good to have a break. Okay, you guys boleh scroll social media and search. And kita ada AI chatbot dekat dalam kita punya website. You boleh tanya robot dekat tepi tu. And it is AI generated. Boleh tanya any question. Alright, so are you guys ready? Yes. Tak dengar kat bibir dah? Huh? Yes, tak dengar kat bibir dah? Sampai hati. Alright. Okay, so hello everyone. Before we start, this is the attendance contest yang akak cakap tadi. For online student, you can tangkap layar, kata cikgu kita. Okay, cikgu siapa nanti akak bagi tahu. Okay, itu dalam bahasa Melayu dia tangkap layar. And for all of you, screenshot, sorry. And all of you boleh tangkap gambar ni. Okay, kalau nak ingat, nak participate macam mana, then you can take the photo of this. And kita ada juga share about us. So what you need to do, alright, can you look at the person who sit beside you? Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. Okay, look at them. Okay, tell them that you want to have a selfie and participate on the Share About Us contest. What you need to do, take a selfie, upload dekat Instagram and tag us. You tak ada kawan? Boleh selfie dengan akak, boleh selfie dengan abang. Jangan risau. Okay, we are all your friends here. Okay, before we start, class rules. Okay, this is including online students. Please watch out. Okay, this session will be recorded. So bila recorded, macam kak cakap tadi, avoid lalu depan kamera yang 2 ketul ni. Okay, And also this camera. Jangan lalu depan kamera. Okay? And the recording will be accessible on website after 2 working days. Awalnya dia selfie kat belakang tu. Bagus, bagus. Okay? Now, the second point, very important. Boy, you guys are so loud. Okay, you can ask any questions but only related to subject science, okay? And the teachers will do their best untuk jawab you guys punya soalan. Yang ketiga pun penting. Please jangan guna harsh words, vulgar words, okay, profanities or disrespectful language in the chat section and also during your physical session. Okay, kalau nak tanya soalan, just raise up your hand and abang yang handsome ni, abang yang handsome dua ni, kita orang akan tolong you guys lah untuk bagi tahu cikgu apa soalan awak. Okay, untuk mengelakkan akak cakap salah, okay, so akan nak cakap lagi sekali. Hello, welcome everyone to Brickfields Asia College Petaling Jaya for this week. And if you join us next week, kita akan buat dekat Menara BAC sebelah saja, dekat auditorium. So kat situ besar sikit lah. Okay, bukan besar sikit, memang besar banyak. Okay. And this seminar is fully sponsored by the BAC Education Group. Kita nak tolong you get ready for your SPM soon. And my name is Kak Leah. You can call me Akak. Kalau nak tahu, Akak nak pergi toilet, nak kena lalu pintu mana, you just tanya I dekat belakang tu nanti, okay? Alright, and I will be your MC for today and also for next week, every Sunday lah. Okay, so please make sure you guys come, okay? Bukan untuk tengok Akak, obviously, okay? Untuk dapatkan free ilmu, okay? Daripada cikgu-cikgu kita. Alright, before kita start, Akak nak semua penuhkan kerusi kat depan ni. Akak tak nak yang dekat belakang-belakang tu main duduk depan. Kalau tak, Akak tak start. Akak tak panggil cikgu kat luar tu. Penat cikgu berdiri. Come in front. Kenapa malu? Abang yang handsome, tolong. Talian hayat saya. Depan ni tak sejuk sangat pun. Okey je. Yang online student tu bila nak datang fizikal? Macam tu kan, tanya. Kita suruh dia penuh panggil student, penuh kat depan. Dia boleh tak kat gambar, video. Ask them to come front. Cepat, Akak nak introduce ni cikgu kita. Dah pukul berapa ni? Okay, nanti kita akan ada 10 minutes break. Okay, I will give you a cue. Nanti waktu break tu kita ada trivia question untuk bagi you guys hadiah. So, get ready, okay? First come, first serve. Okay, then, alright. Okay, I would like to call our one and only Cikgu Sains kita, Cikgu Karthi. Okay, she's holding. Okay, tepuk. Okay, so here's a little bit about your Cikgu Karthi. Okay, she holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Telecommunications Engineering. Okay, and she began her teaching journey by tutoring elementary students. Then she moved, the advancedkan dia punya career untuk jadi part-time lecturer dekat MMU Cyberjaya. Pernah dengar ke? Pernah? PEC pernah dengar tak? First time cakap lah, pernah dengar. Okay, alright. And she is very passionate about teaching and also STEM education. Alright, kalau you nak tahu lebih banyak about science, you boleh raise up your hands and ask away. Alright, jangan malu, jangan segan. Kalau tak, datang seminar ni sia-sia sebab tak tanya cikgu. Cikgu dah ada depan mata. Okay? Alright, are you guys ready? Have you guys wake up? I nak dengar lebih motivated lagi. Dah ready ke? Okay, alright. Okay, over to you Cikgu Karthi. Please come.
Alright, let's just wait for a while until all of them sit.
Alright, so good morning everyone. How are you guys feeling today? Okay, so where are you guys from? Any answers? Kuala Lumpur. Anyone from Selangor? Okay. Anyone other than this state, anywhere else? Okay. Alright. So, before I start, what do you guys actually feel about science? Is it hard, easy? Middle. Okay. So, the hard part, is it the memorizing or answering or what is it? Memorizing, okay. Anyone else? Any answers? Alright. Okay, so before I start today, I just want to share with you guys, what do you think, how much do you think you need to score to actually get A in your science for SPM? Okay, 60 and above. But what's the real target? What is it? You're supposed to achieve something more than 60 because we don't know what's the graph like, right? So, what is it that if you check, your paper 1 is actually 40 marks, right? Okay. So, your paper 1 is 40 marks and your paper 2 is 80 marks. So, out of this 120, how much do you need to actually get to get an A in science? 100. Okay, basically you need to get around 96 out of 120 to actually get an A. So this is actually for 80%, but we do not actually go by the graph because sometimes the graph can increase depending on the number of students who actually score during their exam. So if it's an easy paper and many of you all actually scored more than 80 or 90, then the graph might actually increase. So the basic target that we need to actually set is around this lah, so that you can actually you do not actually have to predict, but you know for sure that you can actually get an A. Alright? Okay. But if you actually see, is it really hard to actually get this 96 out of 120? If you check, if you really want to see, if to just score, to just like pass the exam, you just need to get 48 out of 120. So this is actually basically you getting 20 for paper 1 and 28 for paper 2. So it's actually that simple to actually get these marks to actually pass the paper. So for A, basically this 28 is actually free marks you can actually get in paper 2. Why I say free marks is actually because you do not actually have to memorize everything and study everything from the textbook to actually answer these questions. You just actually need to know the technique to answer the paper 2 so that you can actually get these marks. Basically around I think 30 marks you can actually get from paper 2 without even actually really studying or memorizing all the facts from the textbook. So that's what I'm actually going to share today, okay? Alright, so let's start with the format of the science paper first, okay? So for the format, we firstly have this 40 questions for paper 1 as we know, and this one basically will give you 1.5 minutes for each question. So you cannot actually spend more than this 1.5 minutes because you actually stuck in one question means then you will actually miss out from the other questions. So maybe sometimes you can actually know more questions from the back, it's easier to answer, but you are just stuck on that one question and you will miss out the time on answering the next 30 questions or 40 questions. So for paper 1, this is actually the breakdown of the questions. So basically there's actually 20 questions which are actually from the low level, which means that it's actually easy questions which doesn't require a lot from you, which is like analyzing or understanding the question more. And 12 questions which is medium and 8 questions which is hard. These 8 questions will actually be the toughest questions where they will actually try to make you to analyze the question, like some questions which are like application questions. How do you actually apply this in real life? How are you analyzing this experiment to get an output from it? So these are actually hard questions. And for paper 2, basically there's 3 parts. So if you guys should know, which is the bahagian A, which is question 1 to 4. And then for bahagian B, you have question 5 to 10. And for bahagian C, question 11 which is compulsory for you to answer, and question 12 or 13 which is choices. You can actually choose either one to answer. And this will actually give you a total of 80 marks, which means that paper 2 should be your focus because this is actually giving you most of your marks. And paper 2 is something which you can actually predict or know how to answer compared to paper 1. Paper 1 is something that you have to study for everything. You just have to know the facts, you just have to memorize most of your things from textbook. Alright, so for paper 2 you have 2 hours and 30 minutes, and for paper 1 you have 1 hour and 15 minutes. So basically, for paper 1, the only tips that I can give you is to actually follow this his method. Why his method is because firstly you need to highlight or underline any questions that any important facts that you have in a question. And for the second one, which is ignore or cross out any options that you do not feel is actually correct. This will actually prevent you from having more confusions or more time in answering a question. And then the final one to actually solve with any one right answer. So how you actually use this method in a question is that, for example, I give you a question, just say, okay, so just say the question they ask is that which of the following is a carbohydrate, and the options that they have given you is rice, apple, orange and chocolate. So if you can see in this thing, you can actually ignore out 2 of this already because 2 of this comes in the fruits category. So basically you know that it's out already, and then you only have A and D, sorry. You have A and D. So from the A and D, you can actually cross out one more also if you know that chocolate is not actually a carbohydrate already. So basically you're only left with one answer, which is A. So this is actually how you cross out your options first, and you only left with 2, and within 2 you can make a choice. It's easier to make a choice within 2 than 4 options. Okay, so let's continue with the paper 2. So for paper 2, today our focus is going to be on the bahagian A and also bahagian C question 11. Why I say both of this is that both of this actually has the same, almost the same techniques to actually answer, compared to the bahagian C question 12 and 13, which would actually mostly cover conceptual and factual questions, which requires you to memorize all the facts and also understand. So for questions 1 to 4, which is bahagian A, basically you need to know, you need to focus on these few statements so that you can actually answer the question. These statements will actually be in your question itself. These answers you can actually get from the questions itself. You do not actually need to study and memorize anything. You can actually get the answers from the questions itself. I will actually practice these questions with trial questions and also past years later. So firstly, let's just see. So the type of questions they actually ask for these questions 1 to 4 is basically on first making observation. This making observation is actually writing down what you actually see. Basically, whatever you see in the question paper, whatever observations that they have given you in the question, you just have to write it down. Exactly what you see is what you write. But what's the mistake that most students actually make is that they actually predict the answer. They actually write something maybe what is the conclusion of the experiment or what they are actually predicting will happen in the experiment. That's where you actually lose the marks. Whatever you see in the question, you just write it down. The exact same thing. That's actually making observation. And then another type of questions they actually ask is making inferences and reason for the observation. So this one is actually related to the first one. So if you write that what you see, okay, maybe you can write that the observation that you have seen is the time taken for this experiment is 21 minutes. So if you say 21 minutes, why this 21 minutes is happening? Why is it taking 21 minutes? That's what you have to write actually the inferences. It has to be related to the first part. Usually when they ask the first question, what do you observe from this experiment? The next question will be that justify your answer or give reasons for your answer. So this one will always be related to the first one. So this will actually automatically give you 2 to 3 marks. from the question itself you can actually get the answer. Next we go to the definition operation. So this is actually a famous question also. This can be actually asked in your question 1 to 4 bahagian A and also question 11. So how you actually create this definition operation? So basically for this definition operation, the formula to create is actually, firstly you need to write the question's requirement. So what is the question's requirement? Okay, just say the question they have asked you, what is the okay, just say the question they have asked is, what is the operational definition of coagulation of latex? So the answer that you write is actually the first thing, right? The question's requirement is the operational definition of coagulation of latex is okay. So you write down the question first and then you add the is and then you add the material, process or method which involves, which means that the operational definition of coagulation of latex is when acid is added to latex, which means that this is a method or process, causes and then the observation and results, which can be white latex, white solid is formed. So if you see, this is something, maybe they have given you an experiment about coagulation of latex and they have shown you acid and the adding. So you can actually get from the question itself the requirement and then you just need to add this process and then causing the observation. So all this is actually from the question itself. You do not actually need to understand the whole process of latex or what is happening, but you just can get the answer from the question itself. So basically this is around 2 marks question which you can actually get from the question that they have given. And then for question 5 to 10, which is bahagian B. Question 5 to 10 is actually similar to question 12 to 13, which requires understanding and memorizing of the chapters in science. So basically question 5 to 6 is actually testing your memorizing, understanding, application and analysis. Application questions, as I said, is actually applying in real life situations. So basically questions that give you on how you can actually apply mutation, gene mutation in real life and all that things. So it's something that you actually need to understand, it's something that you actually need to know to answer the question. And next, analysis type of questions. For analysis type of questions is basically you need to analyze the whole experiment. You cannot just answer by just looking at the question, or you cannot just answer by your understanding of what you have understood about the topic. You need to really analyze what's happening there, what they have actually given you, and then only you can answer the question. And then for questions 7 and 8, they have added menilai. Menilai is basically judgment. So basically they can ask you questions like your opinion, or they can say that give one precautionary step on your opinion or something like that. So something that they actually ask from you, where it can be an open-ended question, which means that there's no right or wrong answer. If your solution, if your method is actually something which works for the experiment, then it's a correct answer. So it's actually a bonus mark also, which means that you just need to know that whatever that you answer is actually related to what they are asking. It's not totally out of topic. If it's within the topic, then you can get the mark. And then finally for question 9 and 10, there's mencipta. Mencipta meaning that you need to create something, create an experiment. So this create an experiment, sometimes they would have given you all the apparatus, all the items and everything. So they will just ask you to create an experiment, which means that they will ask you to give them the procedures, the methods to answer the question. Yeah. And finally, for paper 2 bahagian C. So bahagian C, question 11 is a wajib question and question 12 or 13 is a choice. So for question 11, it's basically experiment question. Why I say that you can actually score for question 11 is that since it's an experiment question, you can actually follow the technique to answer, which means that all this operational definition, inference, observation and few more others, which I will share later, is something that you can actually know by heart on how to answer before even sitting for the exam. Before even sitting in the exam hall, you will know how to answer the question already. So it doesn't mean that even if you don't understand the topic that they are asking, you can actually still answer because most of the answers are from the question itself. For question 12 and 13, basically, you can actually answer by, for question 12 and 13, you need to actually understand the whatever that you are studying. So basically, if they are testing you mainly from this one topic, and then you need to answer only if you know the topic clearly. So basically, for question 12 and 13, you really need to understand. If you don't understand question 12, you are like 50-50. So please, I would suggest that you don't actually answer that question. You go for a question where you are confident that you actually understand the topic by heart. Okay, so for question 11 is 10 marks and question 12 or 13 is 12 marks. Okay, so now we are going to question 11. Like I said just now, the example of questions that they can ask for question 11 is basically penyataan masalah, hypothesis, tujuan, pemboleh ubah, which is like manipulated, constant or responding variable, procedure, and penjadualan data. Alright, so one by one we will see this later. And if you check for PASE SPM 2022, the soalan that they have actually asked is bahan and radas, lakaran berlabel. This is actually a famous question, lakaran berlabel, because it's a most asked question for creating an experiment. This can actually be asked in question 1 to 4 or also question 11. Langkah berjaga-jaga. Langkah berjaga-jaga is what I said just now, the precautionary steps to actually enhance the experiment or to actually how to stop something. And faktor yang perlu dikawal. Faktor yang perlu dikawal, this one is actually tested which is related to the MV, RV and CV. So any of this they can actually ask, okay, apakah faktor yang perlu dikawal untuk mengekalkan MV or RV or CV? So this is actually a related question also, which will give you 2 marks or 3 marks. So if just say your MV or RV or CV is wrong, then this faktor yang perlu dikawal will also be automatically wrong. And you will lose marks for both the questions. Okay, so let's start with first one, which is membina penyataan masalah. Untuk membina penyataan masalah, we need to actually read and understand the statement that they have given first. So which means that baca soalan dengan teliti, understand the soalan, and then we need to find the 2 things, which is the pemboleh ubah. Yang first one is the MV and RV. So any question that they have given you for question 11 and question 1 to 4, any question that they have given you, any experiment or any topic, you just need to find the MV and RV first. Whatever it is, just find the MV and RV, because for sure the question will be related about the MV and RV. So for MV, the first thing is that we will find the perbezaan yang terdapat dalam kenyataan. Perbezaan maksudnya is like just say any differences. Okay, whatever experiment that they do, they have to change any of the variables so that the experiment can happen. So whatever changes that is, apa-apa perbezaan yang terdapat, you just write it down. And depending on the perbezaan yang terdapat dalam eksperimen, we get the kesan. Kesan keputusan daripada perubahan MV. So this kesan you actually get from the problem statement is there. Because mostly the questions that they ask actually is related to the question is like they might ask to study the effect of. So the effect is actually the RV. So formula untuk membina penyataan masalah is that first mesti mulakan ayat dengan kata soal. Bagaimanakah, adakah, apakah. So whatever it is that they have given, you just start with kata soal. And then you need to berakhir dengan tanda soal. Which means that any question that they have given you, you start the question with bagaimanakah, adakah, apakah, and then akhirkan dengan tanda soal. And mesti dalam bentuk soalan. So penyataan masalah ini is something you actually are creating a question to ask. What is actually happening in this experiment? What is the responding variable? What is actually change which is occurring this experiment? And finally is that mesti mempunyai hubungan antara MV dengan RV. Okay, so contoh untuk penyataan masalah ialah adakah MV bertambah menyebabkan RV berkurang atau adakah MV berkurang menyebabkan RV bertambah. So untuk MV, okay, so untuk MV pun boleh ubah dimanipulasi. We will see how to actually write the MV. Common mistake that student make when writing the MV is to actually write the bahan atau radas sahaja tanpa parameter. Formula untuk MV ialah parameter tambah bahan atau radas. Tetapi apa yang students commonly make is that parameter, without parameter they just tulis the bahan atau radas. Which means that just say they write pun boleh ubah dimanipulasi ialah logam. So what is logam? What is actually changed in the logam? No one actually tells what is actually changed. So when I am reading as an examiner, I only see as that logam. What is actually changed in the logam? Nothing is actually changed in the logam. I don't understand what you are saying. Is it the berat or is it the jenis or what is it actually? So whatever it is, make sure you write the first thing as a parameter. For example, berat logam or jenis larutan. So basically this will be the parameter. So if just say they have given you any question in terms of graph. Okay, yes, MV is equals to manipulated variables. Alright, so if they have given you a graph, contoh graph, suhu and then bilangan something. Okay, just say bilangan pertumbuhan bakteria and suhu. So this will automatically be your MV and this will automatically be your RV. So if they have given you this graph in your question, basically you already know the MV and RV, which is actually 2 marks for you already in the question without even knowing what is actually they trying to do the experiment. And then if they have given you a question in a table form, in the table form this will actually be your MV and this will be your RV. So whatever the question they have given you, you can actually get the MV and RV from the question itself. Okay, so for the next one, making hypothesis. Same as before, you need to read the question and find the 2 things, which is MV and RV. And the formula to create the hypothesis is actually, basically you just need to put the MV and RV in a statement. And you need to put any word which is saying that whether it's increasing or decreasing, which means that any changes in the MV causes this effect in the RV. So that will be your hypothesis. So for the first one, it's like semakin bertambah atau berkurang MV, semakin bertambah atau berkurang RV. So whatever happens, okay, jika saya tambah MV, RV itu akan berkurang. So this becomes a hypothesis already for you. And if the MV is dalam bentuk situasi, maka RV. So which means that any question that they have given you, which is like there's no something that they are changing in terms of concentration or bilangan, then it goes into the situation of situational questions, which means that this happened, so this is the result of this happening. And then the third type of hypothesis is that ayat penyata yang membandingkan MV1 dengan MV 2, which means that 2 changes in the question, 2 differences, and then you just gabungkan and make it as a statement which will give you the ayat penyata. And the next one, to create an experiment. So basically, if you already have all these things, you can actually create an experiment already, which is the whole question 11 about. So basically, you read the list of materials and apparatus to get the information on MV and RV. And then tulis MV dengan RV. As I said, always write your MV dengan RV. And then buat tujuan. Okay, finally to do this buat tujuan, formula untuk membina tujuan. The third type of question, common question that they actually ask is, apakah tujuan eksperimen ini? So basically, to write the objective, you just need to write untuk mengkaji hubungan MV dengan RV or MV terhadap RV. So basically, when you get the MV and RV, you just put inside this statement, will actually give you 1 to 2 marks already. So whatever it is, if your MV and RV is correct, you can basically get the 10 marks for this question. But if your MV and RV is wrong, you can lose totally 10 marks for this question. So it's something whether you realize the MV and RV is correct or not, or if you don't know, then it's 0. And then they will ask you to create a procedure. Like I said just now, they will actually give a question which actually asks you to mencipta experiment. Mencipta experiment is basically creating a procedure depending on the variables and apparatus that they have given, or you actually put in your own variables, whatever experiment that you have remembered, and you actually create the experiment. So for this creating experiment untuk procedure, you have to write these 5 steps. These 5 steps is actually something you need to by heart, because basically whatever experiment that they have they ask you to create is actually depending on this 5 step. And then they will ask you to lukis 2 gambar raja dan labelkan. So basically this gambar raja you can be dua gambar raja, or you can gabungkan and menjadi 1 gambar raja. And you have to label it. Basically when you label, make sure that you label it correctly, because labeling actually has full marks also. So if this gambar raja is 3 marks, labeling is actually 1 mark. If your label is wrong, then the examiner cannot actually understand what experiment that you are actually doing. So let's see this langkah procedure. Susun bahan dan raja seperti raja di atas, which means that raja yang telah dilukis, okay, just say you draw some experiment and then you label it. So you actually ask them to actually follow and do this as the diagram, and then gunakan, masukkan atau letakkan MV1. So any experiment that you do is actually basically depending on your MV1 and MV2. The difference between the MV1 and MV2 is actually creating the experiment. So you just change between this, and then the third one is perhatikan RV selepas 1 hari atau selepas 12 jam, and whatever experiment, or if this is not the thing, ukurkan RV menggunakan alat pengukur, which is like the time taken or any isi padu, volume of the cylinder or something lah, whatever experiment that they ask you to create. And then ulang eksperimen dengan menggunakan MV2, rekodkan RV di dalam jadual. This jadual you have to actually draw as well later, because the next question will be penjadwalan data. So this penjadwalan data is something you need to draw a table and you need to put your MV and RV. You do not have to put the real data yang telah direkodkan or whatever. You just need to put a table and you just need to put the MV and RV. So this will actually give you a 2 marks itself. Okay. Next, controlling the variables, mengawal pemboleh ubah. So as I said just now, the MV, RV and CV. CV is something not that commonly asked because it's something which is not changed in the experiment. So for MV and RV is related with most of the questions. So for MV is basically menggunakan bilangan MV yang berbeza, iaitu MV1 dengan MV2. So this one, make sure you write the parameter. And then for RV RV is, you need to actually see, okay, this is the question where they will ask faktor yang boleh mengawal RV or MV. So basically, faktor yang boleh mengawal is that, okay, just say they have given you something to observe. How do you actually observe it? What you are actually controlling or what you are actually using to actually observe the changes. So, it's example mengukur or mengira RV menggunakan alat pengukur, maybe jam or clock or whatever it is lah. And then memerhati RV selepas tempoh. This is actually you just observing what are the changes. Maybe the experiment can be a braid or something, and then they ask you to observe what is the condition of the braid after a few days. So this is you actually memerhati RV selepas tempoh 3 hari. And then for CV, mengekalkan CV yang sama. So just keep the constant variable throughout the experiment. This is what I just said just now, which is the penjadualan data. Whatever it is, you just need to draw a table and then put the MV and RV. And this will be the changes on the MV and RV. So for example, you put here suhu and then maybe 30 degrees, 35 degrees, and then for RV is whatever that you measured lah. So this one you just leave it blank and this one you just leave it blank. So this will actually give you 2 marks for the penjadualan data. Okay, so for question 11, basically I would suggest you all to answer it in a table form. Why in a table form is that? So that you actually keep constant of your MV and RV. You know that this is actually a relationship between MV and RV. This you actually need MV and RV also to find the tujuan of the experiment. And then pemboleh ubah for sure MV, RV, CV. And then procedure is actually changing your MV1, MV2, and then observe your RV. And the penjadualan data is MV and RV. So if you see, all of this is actually related to MV and RV. So if your MV and RV is wrong, basically all of this is wrong. And this is actually giving you 10 marks. So this whole 10 marks is depending on your 2 things only, which is your MV and RV. If these 2 things is correct, then you get a 10 marks. If this 2 things is wrong, then you get 0 marks lah. So if you do it in a table form, you will know whether you are keeping your MV and RV constant or not. Which means that you don't change your MV and RV according to your understanding. You actually keep it as the same thing. If the first thing you actually write the MV is suhu, you need to make sure that here is also suhu, here is also suhu, and until the end is also suhu. You don't change that. The first thing I say is the MV is suhu. The second thing I say the MV is jenis larutan. If it's like this, then your experiment is actually going somewhere already. It's not in the same concept. Okay, so let's see the past year paper, soalan 11. Okay, Raja 11 menunjukkan 2 aktiviti fizikal yang dilakukan oleh seorang murid. Selepas melakukan aktiviti yang kedua, murid itu mendapati jantungnya berdegup dengan laju. Murid tersebut ingin mengukur kadar denyutan nadi bagi setiap aktiviti yang dijalankan. Soalan pertama. Nyatakan satu penyataan masalah berdasarkan situasi tersebut. As I said, the first question is always the problem statement. And the second question, cadangkan satu hipotesis untuk menyiasat situasi tersebut. Hypothesis, problem statement, which I already said just now. And the third question is to create an experiment. Dengan menggunakan jam randit dan seorang murid, huraikan satu eksperimen untuk mengkaji hipotesis di 11B. So you can see that the question is actually related to 11B. And dengan menggunakan jam randit dan seorang murid, which means that they have already given you the bahan and radas. Huraian anda harus mengandungi kriteria berikut. And first is tujuan eksperimen. Mengenal pasti pemboleh ubah. Since they have not given you any pemboleh ubah, they didn't state that, okay, they want the MV, they want the RV. You can actually put any of the 3 things, MV, RV or CV. Procedure atau kaedah, penjadualan data. So if you can see, this is actually all the things that I actually mentioned just now, which means that here there is 2 marks and here there is 8 marks, which is 10 marks. So this total of 10 marks which is actually related to the MV and RV. Okay, so let's see actually how to answer this question one by one. Pernyataan masalah. As I said just now, pernyataan masalah you need to start with any kata soal. So adakah is a kata soal and end with tanda soal. So adakah kadar denyutan nadi manusia berbeza berdasarkan aktiviti fizikal. So basically this is your MV, the physical activity, because the first thing that they have changed is a person just standing and a person running. So you know that the difference, the MV will be the physical activity that they are currently doing. And what you want to find the RV is actually the denyutan nadi manusia, the kadar denyutan nadi, which means that this is what you are actually observing from the experiment. And then we go to the hypothesis. Hypothesis, semakin lasa aktiviti fizikal yang dilakukan, semakin tinggi kadar denyutan nadi. This hypothesis, as I mentioned just now, it's actually the higher or the as this increases, that increases, which is the MV and RV. So it's something that they have also used, which means the activity physical is the MV and kadar denyutan nadi is the RV. So semakin lasa aktiviti fizikal, semakin tinggi kadar denyutan nadi. And then the tujuan untuk mengkaji kesan aktiviti fizikal terhadap kadar denyutan nadi manusia. So this is your MV, this is your RV. And as I mentioned just now, untuk tujuan we need to add the first word is to mengkaji or to study the effect, to study the aim of something like that. You have to start with this statement so that you can actually get the marks, because all this question is depending on a certain formula. If you write a question without this keywords, it's harder for an examiner to understand what you are actually trying to say. If you just say that, okay, I just want to know what is the effect of the physical activity on humans' pulse rate, it's a statement which is more on your opinion rather than a objective. So that's why you need to have these keywords to actually make a statement clear that, okay, this is actually the objective, this is not a hypothesis, or this is not my personal opinion, this is actually a objective of the question. And the next one, pemboleh ubah. Since they did not mention any pemboleh ubah can be used, so out of the three, any two you answer, you will get the 2 marks already. So pemboleh ubah yang dimanipulasi, you already know which is the physical activity, but you need to write the parameter as I mentioned just now. If without this parameter, you will not get marks for this. It will be a 0 marks, because I don't know whether you change the type of physical activity or the time of the physical activity, whatever it is. So you need to make sure that you write the parameter. And then the responding variable is the kadar denyutan nadi, pulse rate, what is measured. And the fixed one is the time period, gender, age. So this fixed variable is something actually is an open question as well. You can say anything in the experiment that has been fixed. So anything other than this is something, the only thing which has changed. One thing only changed, others all is kept constant. So anything can be this answer. So whatever you put in this answer, jantina ke, usia ke, whatever it is, it will be a correct answer. And then finally come to the part for procedure. Procedure, as I mentioned just now, it should be around 4 to 5 steps. And if you miss out 1 or 2 steps, then there will be less marks or 0 marks. Okay, so for procedure, firstly, they actually say activity dijalankan dalam kumpulan. And then the second statement is, seorang murid daripada setiap kumpulan melakukan aktiviti berehat, berjalan dan berlari dalam tempoh masa 2 minit bagi setiap aktiviti. If you can see, they actually already mentioned the MV that is changed in this experiment, which is activity, the physical activity that they have done, berehat, berjalan ke, berlari ke, whatever it is lah. So that is what is changed in this experiment. And then they say the third step, which is to pastikan murid berehat selama 5 minit sebelum melakukan aktiviti seterusnya. And then finally, this fourth step is the measuring RV. So this one, you just need to state what you are actually expecting to be the observation for your experiment. So what they are trying to observe in this experiment is that bacaan denyutan nadi dalam tempoh masa seminit diambil selepas setiap aktiviti dan direkodkan dalam jadual. So basically this one, they are actually measuring what is your heartbeat after that experiment. So you see, step number 2, apa yang ditukarkan, and this one, what is the kesan of what they have changed in the second step. So make sure your procedure, whatever that you write, make sure you have the MV and also the RV. If you have both of this, you will get the full marks. And finally is the penjadwalan data. As I said just now, penjadwalan data, you do not have to have the right records. You do not have to have the full records for it. You just need to write what is your MV and what is your RV. If both of this is there, you will automatically get the full marks. You do not have to write, okay, MV for this one is 120 or 140. You do not have to write this data. You just need to write what they have actually done, which they have said in the experiment already, this 3 type of physical activity, and how many students you are actually measuring for, and then the RV, what you are actually measuring. And make sure you write the unit of what you are using to actually measure this RV. And from this, you can get your 10 marks for this question 11. So if you see this question 11, the whole thing, you do not actually need to understand about the human body or whatever it is that you actually study in the chapter. You basically need to understand this question, and you actually need to get the MV and RV from the question itself. Okay, so let's see one more past year, which is last year. Okay, Raja Sepuluh menunjukkan perbualan antara 2 orang murid di sebuah kebun. So basically they are doing some gardening, and one is without nutrients and another one is with all the nutrients. So one, the plant that has grown as a healthy plant, and another one, the plant has grown not to be so healthy. Okay, based on the conversation diagram 10, plan an experiment in laboratory to study the effect of nutrients on plants. So this one you already know. As I said, you can actually get the answer from the question itself. So this one, they want to understand the effect of nutrients on plants, and what they have changed is actually the nutrients that they have provided for the plants. Okay, so as I said, the same questions being asked, which is a problem statement, hypothesis, faktor yang perlu diubah, faktor yang perlu dikawal, lakaran yang berlabel, expected observation, jangkaan pemerhatian, and 2 langkah berjaga-jaga. This 2 langkah berjaga-jaga is something which is a open-ended question. So this open-ended question can be anything from your opinion, but it has to be related to the experiment. Alright, so if you don't have the notes for this this paper that I am sharing, you can actually get it from the SPMflix.com. So please download the notes from there if in case that you don't have the notes. Alright, so back to the question. So first one, penyataan masalah. So from this question, as I said, the thing that they have changed is the type of nutrients, and the thing that they want to study is the effect of the type of nutrients on the plants. So penyataan masalah is firstly your kata soal, and then your tanda soal, and then you just fill in the blanks inside, which is the RV and the MV. So apakah kesan kekurangan nutrien terhadap pertumbuhan-tumbuhan? So basically, this is what you want to understand, which is the effect of the nutrient deficiency terhadap pertumbuhan-tumbuhan. So basically, you get the MV and RV here already. And then for hypothesis, as I said just now, there's 2 methods to write, which is the increase, as this increase that increases, or as this decreases that decreases, or depending on the situation. Because this situation happened, the kesan of this situation is this one. So this is one of the questions which is actually talking about the situational questions. Tanpa kehadiran semua nutrien, pertumbuhan terbantul, which means that when there is not enough nutrients for the plants, the plant will not grow in a healthy condition. Okay, so for the next one, which is the MV, faktor yang perlu diubah. So from this question, you already know that one person is saying that they already have all the nutrients for the plants, and another person is saying that insufficient of nitrogen, phosphorus or potassium elements. So from this itself, you know that the changes is that the type of solution that they are providing for the plants. So jenis larutan culture. So make sure you actually put this jenis, because without this jenis it will be a 0 mark. Larutan culture itself will be a 0 mark. Even though your answer is partly correct, there won't be any points given for the question. And for RB, faktor yang perlu dikawal, which is the isi padu larutan culture, which means that you have changed the jenis already. So what you are going to keep constant is the volume of it. So only one changes can be done in an experiment. So if one is already changed, which is the jenis, then this isi padu will automatically become the constant variable. Okay, so for the next part, which is the diagram, lakaran berlabel. So for lakaran berlabel, make sure whatever you do, you draw the experiment, you make sure to label it. Without the labeling, the examiner cannot understand what you are trying to explain to them through the diagram. So this will actually show you that firstly your MV is this one. From the diagram itself, the examiner can understand that you are actually trying to change these two solutions. So when you are changing these two solutions, you know that the RV will actually be this plant, the growth of the plant. So if we can see, one plant is actually growing in a healthy condition and one plant is not growing in a healthy condition. In this, they have actually changed the without nitrogen. Satu solution is always having the complete one and another one is having something. So this one can be without nitrogen, phosphorus or whatever it is that you want to change in this experiment. Okay, for the next question, jangka pemerhatian. For jangka pemerhatian is something that you are going to observe from this experiment. This is something you can actually get from the question itself also. Okay, so if you can see in this question, they have already seen that the leaves at the bottom of my plants are mostly pale green or yellow. Many leaves are also fallen and the production of flowers and fruits are stunted. So it's something that you already know from the question itself what they are trying to say. So the jangka pemerhatian will be daun yang tumbuh dalam larutan culture lengkap berwarna hijau. This is one of the answer. The second answer will be that the next daun yang tumbuh dalam larutan culture yang tidak lengkap is berwarna kuning or something like that, berwarna kuning or whatever it is that they have said lah, that the plant is the plant's growth is stunted or something like that. So there's two observations and whatever observation that you write is also correct. Either one you write is correct. So finally the langkah berjaga-jaga. Langkah berjaga-jaga is something that as I say, you can actually write anything that you actually feel would actually help the situation of the experiment to become better. How you can actually produce a better experiment, how you can actually make sure that the experiment is actually better in any ways lah. So firstly you can actually put pastikan udara dipump selama 5 minit sehari or anak benih perlu diberikan sumber cahaya. Since the one that they have changed in this experiment is actually okay. Since they have actually changed the jenis larutan, the only thing which is going to be constant is actually the cahaya or the water or the other things, whatever that is kept constant other than the jenis larutan of this experiment. Okay, so for the next one, since we have finished question 11, for question 12 and 13, as I mentioned for question 12 and 13 just now, it's actually mostly covering the conceptual questions, factual questions. So this is actually the part they are actually testing your understanding, your memorizing skills. So for this part of the questions, you cannot actually write whatever that you can get from the questions or whatever you feel. You have to know the facts, you have to understand all the concepts. If you don't understand, basically these questions will actually be very, very hard for you to answer. Even though you only answer one question, it's actually 12 marks. So if you are aiming for A, make sure you actually study the notes as well, make sure you actually understand the concepts as well, because this one, they will actually give you questions in terms of explanation, give examples. Application. Okay, so these questions are mostly on explanation, examples, application, analyzing. So all these questions will require you to have a strong knowledge, strong understanding of the topic that they have given. Without this, you cannot actually answer this question. So mostly these questions are related into all those conceptual things like the social scientific issues, or what's happening in the world currently, or maybe mitosis, meiosis, all that things. So basically these are all concepts only. So they will ask you to actually create concepts, make conclusions, or solve problems. They can ask you, okay, what are the solutions that you can give for these issues that's currently happening, or what are the solutions for open burning, what is actually causing open burning. So if you don't know anything about open burning, then you cannot answer this question at all. There's nothing that you can actually gather the answers from the question. You actually need to know what is open burning, how is open burning happening, what is the effects of open burning, and what you can do to make to reduce the open burning situation. Alright, so that's all for the techniques for this question. So after this, we will actually answer trial questions and also some Soalan Ramalan, and then finally I will actually give you a few tips for the Ramayan topics which might come out, but it's something which is also Ramayan only, it's not something which is confirmed. So it's actually to just give you a bit of ideas on what might come out, so you can prepare extra, but still you have to prepare for all the chapters. Okay, so for the next part, which is the compilations of trial questions. Okay. So for trial questions, this is actually a state trial question, but it's actually also a spotted question for this year. So make sure you guys focus, because this is something which might actually come up, and the questions that they have asked in this is something actually something easy to answer if you actually read the question properly, because most of the answers is actually in the question itself. Okay. So, Raja 1 menunjukkan satu eksperimen yang dijalankan oleh sekumpulan murid dengan meletakkan satu persatu buku teks di atas penutup kotak bagi model measure P dan model measure Q sehingga silinder menjadi bengkok. Okay, if you see this question, what is the MV and RV? Please write the MV and RV. Okay, all done? Alright. So what is the MV? Yes, correct. Okay. So the MV is jenis cylinder or type of cylinder. RV, what is the RV? Okay. So, bilangan buku teks yang boleh disokong. Okay, so since most of you already got the MV and RV, let's go to the question. Nyatakan tujuan bagi eksperimen ini. Yes. Alright. Okay. So, as said, untuk mengkaji hubungan antara jenis silinder terhadap bilangan buku teks okay. So some of you can answer that untuk mengkaji hubungan antara jenis model P dengan model Q terhadap bilangan buku teks yang boleh disokong, or untuk mengkaji hubungan antara jenis silinder padat dengan silinder berongga. All these three answers is actually correct. As long as you have your MV, pemboleh ubah dimanipulasi, and RV, your answer is correct. And please add this, make sure to add this one untuk mengkaji. As long as you have untuk mengkaji MV dengan RV or MV1 dengan RV1 terhadap RV, your answer is correct. Okey, untuk soalan seterusnya. Berdasarkan darjah 1, nyatakan faktor yang diubah. And the second one, faktor yang diperhatikan. And third one, cara mengawal faktor yang diperhatikan. Since you already write your faktor yang diubah dan faktor yang diperhatikan, please continue with the third one. Cara mengawal faktor yang diperhatikan. Alright, faktor yang diubah, jenis silinder. Faktor yang diperhatikan, bilangan buku teks yang boleh disokong. And seterusnya, cara mengawal faktor yang diperhatikan. So, apakah cara yang akan digunakan untuk mengawal faktor yang diperhatikan? This soalan is related to this soalan. So, how do you actually make sure how you are going to control the bilangan buku teks yang boleh disokong? Yes. So, answer is mengira bilangan buku teks yang boleh disokong sehingga silinder menjadi bengkok. Why you need to add sehingga silinder menjadi bengkok is because if you just write mengira bilangan buku teks yang boleh disokong, what is it that you are actually measuring? when you will actually stop your counting. You need to show that, you need to make sure that the examiner understand how you actually controlling. What is actually making sure that you will not stop increasing the number of buku teks. So basically, bila cylinder itu menjadi bengkok, you will stop putting the buku teks already. So that's how you are actually stopping the thing. That's how you are actually controlling the factor that is being observed. Yes, you need to answer the question dalam ayat lengkap, because if ayat tak lengkap, it's very hard for the examiner to understand. Make sure that whatever that you write in your paper, that is what that the examiner is going to see. The examiner doesn't know you personally or doesn't make sure that they can understand from your point of view. If you just write, okay, buku teks yang boleh disokong, I cannot actually predict for you that, okay, maybe this student actually meant that bilangan buku teks yang boleh disokong. I cannot actually add that. Whatever that is on the paper is what I'm going to see, is what I'm going to mark. So whatever is there is what I will give marks for. So you always need to make sure that, is it from a third point of view that they can actually understand what you are writing on that paper. Okey, untuk soalan seterusnya, berikut adalah satu kesimpulan yang diperoleh oleh seorang murid setelah menjalankan eksperimen ini. Tulang berongga lebih kuat berbanding tulang padat. Berdasarkan data satu, berikan alasan anda untuk menyokong kesimpulan di atas. So as I said just now, justification question. So, they have already given you a statement, tulang berongga lebih kuat berbanding tulang padat. So, apakah alasan anda untuk menyokong kesimpulan di atas? And make sure alasan yang diberikan is actually based on the experiment, not from your own understanding, not from your personal opinion why you think that the hollow bone is actually stronger than the compact bone. It's something which has to be related from the experiment that is being done. So from this experiment, you actually need to come up with the reason. Alright, so apakah alasan? Cylinder? But why is it? Yes, correct. But the issue is that you need to put the statement has the value. Berapa banyak buku yang boleh disokong, which means that here they already given you 15 buku teks dan 5 buku teks. So your statement need to have the number which is actually showing that this is the proof that I am actually saying tulang berongga lebih kuat berbanding tulang padat. So hollow bone is able to support okay. So The reason is that hollow cylinder is actually able to support 15 textbooks, which exceeds the number of textbooks by a compact cylinder which is only 5. As you can see, this statement is actually having the right values which they have actually stated in the experiment to support their statement. 15 textbooks, 5 compact cylinder and hollow cylinder exceeds. So these are actually all keywords. Basically, your keywords has the reason, the right reason. Your statement actually has the number values which is actually proving what is actually being stated in the statement, and it's a complete statement. So if your statement is not complete, just say your statement is only hollow cylinder is able to support more textbooks as compared to compact cylinder, then it's only half correct. It's only it's not a complete answer because you do not have the right values to it. You do not put the statement, you do not put the values into it, which is actually stating why this experiment is actually happening, why this experiment actually has been conducted, and why they have come to this conclusion. Without any right reasons, without any right calculations or whatever evidence that they have given, if you put a statement as conclusion, no one is going to believe it. If I just say to you today that okay, apple is red color, you cannot believe until you see with your eyes, or you see with your you see the right evidence that the apple is actually red color. So make sure that whatever that you actually put, it has the points, it has the evidence to prove the answer to the examiner. Okay, for the next question. Sekumpulan murid menjalankan satu eksperimen untuk mengkaji masa yang diambil bagi pengoksidaan hirisan buah apple dengan menggunakan larutan yang berbeza. Okay, as usual, please write the MV dengan RV. Alright, so apakah pemboleh ubah yang dimanipulasi? Yes. So what they have changed in this experiment is actually the type of solution, which is pineapple juice and distilled water. So from the experiment, from the picture itself, you can know what they have actually changed. Apakah RV? Time taken, but time taken is actually the parameter. What you are actually waiting for, what you actually, when you will actually stop taking the time. Yes. Time taken for the apple sizes to change color. Okay, so we continue with the question. Raja 2 menunjukkan hirisan apple yang direndam dalam larutan yang berbeza selama 1 minit dan selepas itu dibiarkan di atas piring Petri. So masa yang diambil untuk hirisan apple berubah warna direkodkan dalam jadual 1. As I said just now, if they have given you a table form, you can easily know the MV and RV. So it has been in the question itself, what is the MV and RV. Okay, so the first question is, rekodkan masa yang diambil untuk hirisan apel berubah warna di dalam larutan jus nanas pada jadual 1. So basically you need to write what is the time taken. Yes, 21. Alright, so for this one, basically this is a observation question. So as I said, untuk soalan observation, untuk soalan pemerhatian, write what you see only. Do not write anything that you predict, do not write anything that you think might be the right answer, or you think that okay, maybe for pineapple juice it might take 25 minutes. You do not write whatever that you think of or predict, you write exactly what you see. So if you see here 21 minutes, you write 21 minutes. If you see here 25 minutes, you write 25 minutes. Whatever that you see is only what you write. Okay, so for the next question, kelaskan bahan berikut kepada bahan antioksidan dan bukan antioksidan dalam jadual 1.1. So, apakah bahan antioksidan? Yes. So, bahan bukan antioksidan is the yes. You do not need to write the extra. Yeah. Okay, so let's go for a break first and we come back. So,
Alright. Hello everyone. Dah bangun ke semua? Dah lapar ke semua? Your session tak habis lagi tau. Okay. Kita bagi Cikgu Karthi rehat 10 minit boleh? Alright, Cikgu Karthi boleh go rehat first. Okay, you guys, since most of you dah terlambat tadi kan. Okay, kita waktu break ni kita ada trivia question. Okay, kita ada trivia question nak tanya you guys. Okay, but before that, hello. No, when I say hello, you say hi. Okay, kita macam budak-budak sikit. Okay, hello. Hi. Baru semangat. Okay, best tak session tadi? Okay, selain daripada nak tanya tu, aku nak tanya. Sebab ramai pergi toilet, sejuk ke? Sejuk sangat ke? So, nak kena naikkan temperature? Oh, tak payah pula. Naikkan sikit, okay? Sebab kesian lah korang nak kena, apa? Nak kena, what we call that, nak kena pergi toilet, keluar masuk. Alright. Pada siapa yang baru datang, so welcome to our SPM seminar. Siapa yang datang semalam untuk subjek sejarah dan juga lupa, maths. Angkat tangan. Oh, awak datang. Oh, rajin. Angkatlah tangan tinggi-tinggi. Oh, ramai jugalah yang datang. Yang datang ni, pocket file bawa tak? Korang ni. Okay, next time kalau datang, bawa pocket file tu. Because at the end of the seminar, korang kena collect apa? Yes, collect sticker. Okay? Apa yang happy sangat tu? Boy with the cap. Apa yang happy sangat tu? Okay, dia tak perasan. Okay, tak apa. Alright, are you guys ready for trivia questions? Aku nak bagi hadiah. Sebab korang kan macam sejuk kan hari ni. So, akan nak bagi hadiah hoodie. Okay, so kita start dengan kita punya trivia question. Siapa nak jawab? Hello? Okay, trivia question ni senang je. Siapa nak jawab? Tolong ke depan. Okay, first come, first serve. Very easy. Okay, the question. What is the Instagram and TikTok handles or username for SPMflix? Datang depan. Datanglah depan. Jangan malu, datang depan, datang depan. Macam ni yang kita nak. Alright. Okay. Very famous Kawan-kawan sekolah ke? Oh, bukan. Okay, bagi tahu nama, sekolah mana, lepas tu bagi tahu jawapan.
Nama Syamil, sekolah dekat Isyamuddin Kelang.
Sekolah Isyamuddin? Akak pandai Kelang tak? Selalu lalu depan sekolah tu. Itu je iklan. Okey, jawapannya?
BSCFlix.
Itu untuk apa?
TikTok.
Untuk Instagram?
Sama juga kan? BSC_Flix.
Tak. Okey, kita bagi peluang lagi sekali. Boleh? Dia expect akak bagi tahu jawapan tau. Okay, one more.
SPMflix untuk Instagram.
Salah. Okey, awak nak guna talian hayat tak? Boleh? Awak nak panggil kawan awak yang mana? Siapa nak tolong Syamil? Kalau tolong Syamil, akak bagi lagi satu hadiah untuk you guys. Cepat. Cepat. Datang depan. Datang tolong Syamil. Itu dia. Hero awak Okey, bagi tahu nama, sekolah mana, duduk kat sini. Nama sekolah?
Nama Adham, sekolah High School Kelang. High School Kelang.
Oh, ni geng-geng Kelang. Kelang Gangs. Okey. Okey, high school Adham, boleh tolong Syamil tak? Untuk Instagram, apa nama kita punya username?
Sorry. Official_Backflix.
Okay, betul. Give a round of applause. Okay, untuk Syamil akan dapat hoodie, tapi awak akan dapat special prize, okay? Nanti awak jumpa abang video yang handsome tu dan dia akan assist you guys lah, okay? Nanti kita jumpa balik, okay? Syamil dengan Adham. Take note Alia? Alright, thank you. Okay, selain daripada trivia question ni, nanti at the end of the session, akan nak seorang atau maybe 2 orang atau maybe 3 orang datang jumpa abang video kat depan ni. Video angkat tangan sikit. Okay, that one. Okay, untuk buat testimonial. So testimonial kita buat apa? You guys share feedback. Okay, kalau you guys rasa SPM seminar ni boleh membantu adik-adik awak, okay, cousin awak ke yang akan ambil SPM, so bagi testimonial yang best-best. Okay, dan kita akan upload dekat social media. Alright, so that's all for our trivia question. Adham and Syamil, nanti kita jumpa lagi, okay? Siapa nak pergi toilet, you guys boleh pergi toilet. Okay, kita jumpa pukul 11.30 nanti. Alright, and in the meantime, kalau siapa ada nak tanya ke apa, boleh tanya akak kat depan, okay? For online student, TikTok student. Yes. Alright. Okay, untuk TikTok student, siapa yang interested untuk datang physically, you are very welcome untuk datang. Okay, next week kita akan buat dekat auditorium Menara BAC. Right, kat situ kita punya auditorium dah lebih besar lah, lebih luas. Okay. Nak LBB pasal apa lagi pasal kontes. Alright. Okay, siapa nak pergi toilet tu, pergi toilet cepat-cepat. Jangan pergi zam-zam ala kazam ke apa Kita makan kejap lagi. Dia nak dekat gambar depan aku juga. Dia nak lalu depan aku juga. Kita ada TikTok live, guys. Okay, those yang still ada dekat dalam kelas, yang dah terlambat tu kan? Okay lah, akak cerita sikit lah about kita punya kontes
Many students make huge mistakes.
What school is not teaching you is
Elon Musk's secret to being successful is
Rahsia untuk menjadi pelajar cemerlang adalah
Aren't you all tired of all this information? All these misleading titles and all you want is just to get straight to the point? Let's say goodbye to them and join IGCSEflix.com so that you can experience the difference.
So the question is, which comes first, chicken or egg?
I don't know.
Zain, there's no wrong answer here. Mommy won't scold you one, okay?
Chicken?
Chicken?
Egg!
Egg. Simple question like this also you don't know.
I thought there's no wrong answer. Are you having a hard time finding a mentor for your education? Sign up at IGCSEflix.com so you can know the difference with our top-notch teachers.
Hey, you. Who are you? You know the answer, is it?
我不知
You
道
know the answer.
我不知道我不知道
What was the hardest subject during your SPM?
Additional mathematics.
At maths. At math. At maths. I'd say at maths lah.
Sejarah.
Chemistry.
Science.
Bahasa Melayu, mathematics.
Bio. Betul tak bio tu? Dia ada kingdom of plantae, ada animal, ada algae lagi. Can you share a piece of advice for this year SPM candidate?
You've got only one job to do, that is to study. So just study.
Don't ever like ponteng classes.
Tuition, go for tuition and then do a lot of exercises.
Or I think you just have to do a lot of exercise until you're familiar with your exam questions.
Just practice more.
Don't like get distracted easily. You are like losing out of like time.
Okey, 1, 2, 3. Mula jualan. Si jualan dulu tak? Tiba-tiba tolak pulangan jualan. 1, 2, 3. Pandai. Tiba-tiba tolak. Apa masuk pula? Dah salah lirik. Ini kalau masuk pertandingan menyanyi dia kena buang. Okey. 3, 2, 4.
Jual bersih.
Up. Jualan bersih. Kenalah ada jualan bersih. Nyanyi. La 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 la. Tak dengar suara. La la. Mula.
Nyanyi.
Apa nak jadi dengan kau ni, Dek? Exam nak dekat, tapi tak selesai study lagi. Mana duit yang Mama bagi untuk beli buku rujukan tu? Kamu beli game ke?
Headshot.
Kamu jangan beli yang bukan-bukan, Kalau duit rujukan tu habis, mana Mama cari duit lagi? Apa ni?
Sebenarnya adik dah beli telekong mak pakai duit mak sebab telekong mak kan macam ada lusuh je.
Habis tu buku-buku rujukan adik macam mana pula?
Adik dah register dengan SPMflix untuk bahan rujukan dan seminar SPM. Semua free, tak payah bayar apa-apa pun.
Mak tak sangka adik ni understanding juga.
Why pay when you can get it for free?
Wow.
Okay, so for the next part. Alright. Nyatakan satu langkah berjaga-jaga yang boleh diambil untuk mendapatkan data yang lebih jitu. Alright, so as I mentioned just now, langkah ini can be anything. Anything that you want to write, but make sure that it's related to the experiment. And langkah ini boleh diambil to make the data to be more accurate. So anyone can share their langkah berjaga-jaga? So one of the answer can be using the same size of apple slices. So what else is kept constant in this experiment yang tidak diubah? Yes. So, mengekalkan isi padu larutan or can be mengekalkan jenis buah yang sama. So, whatever it is, apa-apa jawapan dalam yang ketiga-tiga ini is actually all correct. Whatever that you say is actually correct. Apa-apa yang tidak diubah, yang dikekalkan sepanjang eksperimen ini is actually a correct answer. So, next question. As I mentioned just now, for the question of definisi secara operasi, definitional operation questions. So, if you use the same formula that I mentioned just now, what is the answer for the question? Perubahan warna pada hirisan apple adalah disebabkan pengoksidaan. So, they already have given you a statement and nyatakan definisi operasi secara bagi pengoksidaan. For the just now question, if you answer guna isi padu yang sama is also a correct answer. So for just now, the definisi secara operasi, what I said is the formula is what you do and what you observe. So these two things has to be in the answer. So firstly, you start with the requirement of the question, which is oxidation. The whole question is asking you nyatakan definisi secara operasi bagi pengoksidaan. So you start the answer with pengoksidaan or oxidation is a process. So this one can be process, method, or materials used, whatever it is. You start with the questions, method or process or anything, and then you say that shows the time taken Okay, so if you see the question, oxidation is a process that shows the time taken for apple slices to change color when the apple slices is soaked in different solution and after that left in petri dish. So if you see, this shows the time taken for apple slices to change color is what you observe. It's actually the RV. And when the apple slices is soaked in different solution and after that left in petri dish is the MV, which is the what you do. So basically the operational definition is actually writing the requirement of the question and then putting in what you do, which is the MV, what you change, and then observing it, which is the RV. So if you rewrite back what you actually observe and change in the experiment, if you actually rewrite back what you actually wrote for the MV and RV, you can actually get this 1 mark for free. Okay, so for the next question, Siti ke klinik untuk berjumpa doktor disebabkan oleh kerap selsema. Doktor menasihatkan Siti agar meningkatkan pengambilan buah-buahan yang kaya dengan vitamin C dalam diet pemakanannya. Mengapakah doktor menggalakkan pengambilan buah-buahan yang kaya dengan vitamin C? So any answers? Why is it that the doctor is actually encouraging the consumption of vitamin C? If you see, the whole experiment is actually about oxidation, about antioxidant and oxidant. So basically this question must actually be related to the experiment itself. So the answer should actually be something about the experiment and not something which is unrelated. So basically the answer will be vitamin C acts as an antioxidant. you can also write for this that because vitamin C will actually also increase the person's immunity. Yes, can. You can also write melambatkan proses pengoksidaan. If three of this is also actually all correct. So again, apa MV dan RV tu? MV is the manipulated variable. So pemboleh ubah yang dimanipulasi. So for pemboleh ubah yang dimanipulasi is something that ditukarkan dalam the eksperimen. Whatever, apa-apa yang ditukarkan dalam eksperimen is something which is the manipulated variable. So whatever this is, maybe the type of jenis larutan or the isi padu, whatever it is that is changed within the experiment will become the MV. For RV, kesan untuk MV is the RV. So observation. Pemerhatian untuk kesan bahan atau radas yang dimanipulasi dalam eksperimen. Alright? Okay, so for the next question. Sekumpulan murid telah menjalankan eksperimen untuk mengkaji kesan suhu ke atas pertumbuhan bakteria. Keputusan eksperimen ditunjukkan dalam jadual 2. Okay, so apakah MV dengan RV untuk eksperimen ini? So this will be your MV and this will be your RV. So as said, the MV and RV is in the question itself. You just need to look for it. Okay, so for question A, menggunakan data dalam jadual 2, lukis gambar, lukis graf bilangan koloni bakteria melawan suhu. So how do you actually get these 2 marks? This 2 marks is actually first is plot of the points. And the second one is whether the graph is smooth or not. Why smooth graph? Because this is a pertumbuhan, growth of bacteria. Any growth graph will actually be a smooth graph. So if you plot the points, and then if your graph is not a smooth graph, if you draw a bar chart or something like that, then you will lose marks. Any growth curve will be a S-shaped graph. So if your graph is S-shaped and also your points are all correct depending on all the points that they have given, then you will get the 2 marks. Okay, so now they have asked you a question to predict. Berdasarkan pada graf 3A, ramalkan bilangan koloni bakteria pada suhu 15 degree Celsius. 6. So soalan ini is actually a soalan terbuka, which means that there's no a fixed answer. Any answer which is below than 7 and between 1 to 7 is actually a correct answer, because you can see that the graph is actually, at the end the graph is actually showing a decline state already. So if your number is more than 8, then there is an issue already, it's a wrong answer already. So any number between 1 to 7 will actually give you a correct answer. Whatever it is, it will be correct. Okay, so to the next question, nyatakan hipotesis untuk eksperimen ini. You already know the MB dengan RV, so apakah hipotesis untuk soalan ini? So apakah hipotesis untuk eksperimen ini? Yes. So the hypothesis is okay. So the hypothesis of this experiment is bacteria go fastest at optimum temperature of 35 degree Celsius. You can get this from this table itself. So why is the answer not as the temperature increases, the number of bacterial colonies increases also after 24 hours? Yes. You cannot use this answer because at 45 degrees it is actually starting to reduce already. So this can be another common mistake because you don't actually focus, or you might actually miss out. So use the same formula. As it increases, this increases, and you might actually lose the mark. You need to check always with the experiment whether apa-apa yang kita jawab tu is actually related to the experiment. Okay, so for question D, berdasarkan jadual 2, mengapakah makanan yang disimpan di dalam peti sejuk lebih tahan lama berbanding makanan yang disimpan pada suhu bilik? Okay. Since soalan already told us is that berdasarkan jadual 2, the answer is actually here. If you see at suhu 0, the bilangan koloni bacteria is actually 0. So basically, the answer is because bacterial growth is inactive at 0 degree Celsius. If you see jadual 2, tiada pertumbuhan bakteria pada suhu 0. Okay, so for the next one, Raja 3 menunjukkan satu eksperimen untuk mengkaji hal laju bendalir terhadap tekanan dalam satu tube venturi. Berdasarkan Raja 3, nyatakan pemerhatian anda. So for pemerhatian, you only write what you see. So what you actually see from this experiment. Okay, before that, what is the MV and RV of this experiment? MV? Yes. So it's also in the question itself to study the velocity of fluid toward pressure, which means that this is your MV, this is your RV. So since we already know the MV and RV, apakah pemerhatian anda? Okay, there's two pemerhatian that you can actually put. Either one can be correct, which is paras air So you can either put paras air pada tube P adalah paling tinggi or paras air pada tube Q adalah paling rendah. So whatever it is, paling tinggi atau paling rendah, both the observation is correct because both is what you see. Whatever observation that you put here, you need to see the second question. Nyatakan satu sebab justifikasi berdasarkan pemerhatian anda di 4A. So, if you use P here, justifikasi untuk soalan B ialah berdasarkan pemerhatian untuk tube P. If you put Q, then justifikasi untuk pemerhatian ialah untuk Q. So, mengapakah paras air pada tube P adalah paling tinggi? Why do you actually state that as your observation? Okey, untuk justifikasi bagi paras air pada tube P adalah paling tinggi, we already see in the soalan untuk mengkaji hal laju benda air terhadap tekanan. So this whole experiment, this whole question is actually about pressure and the fluid velocity. So depending on that, you already state that the velocity of the fluid is actually the highest in P. So paras air di tube P Okey, so paras air tube P paling tinggi kerana hal laju rendah menghasilkan tekanan air paling tinggi, which means that high velocity produces low water pressure. If you want to write for Q, then the water level in the tube Q is lowest because high velocity produces lowest water pressure. It becomes the opposite. Okay, so for the next question, nyatakan satu faktor yang ditetapkan dalam eksperimen ini. Constant variable. So, apakah faktor yang tidak ditukar dalam eksperimen ini? Sorry? Water supply is what they changed in this experiment. Yes, isi pada air. Any other answers? Sebab inference kena ada PM ke? If PM by PM you mean boleh ubah dimanipulasi, yes, the inference can have the manipulated variable. Constant. Diameter saluran masuk air, yes, it will be kept constant for X, for P, Q and R. Okay. So, isi padu air is kept constant is because throughout the experiment, You cannot change the volume of the water that is going in. Suddenly you cannot put 1000 milliliter of water, suddenly you cannot put 300 milliliter of water. You have to keep it constant so that you know what is actually affecting the pressure in the tube. Yes, Janice tube. Can also. So if you see, you can actually have multiple answers. It's not actually a close-ended question. Whatever that you put, if it's constant in the experiment, then it's a correct answer. Okay. So, nyatakan hubungan antara tekanan dan hal laju bendalur. Okay, you already know that this one is your MV and this one is your RV. So, hubungan antara tekanan dan hal laju bendalur, this is actually basically your hypothesis. This is another way of asking you the question for hypothesis, which is to state the relationship between the MV and the RV. You can answer semakin laju semakin rendah tekanan, but the problem is that semakin laju what? What is actually becoming more in this experiment? What is actually semakin laju in this experiment? If without that, then your answer is not complete. Semakin tinggi tekanan, semakin rendah hal laju bendalur. It's actually the opposite side. Semakin rendah hal laju bendalur, semakin tinggi tekanan. Because tekanan is actually your RV. Semakin rendah hal laju bendalur is actually your MV. They have actually given you pressure as first and velocity of liquid as the last part. But actually this is your MV, this is your RV. If you change your MV, then only kesan will happen at the RV. If you put kesan as the first thing, semakin tinggi tekanan, which means that you are changing the tekanan, not the velocity of the fluid. So basically, so semakin bertambah hal laju bendalur, semakin berkurang tekanan bendalur. Tekanan ini ialah RV dan hal laju ialah MV. Whatever it is, untuk hipotesis semakin bertambah MV atau semakin berkurang MV, semakin berkurang RV. MV first, then only RV untuk hipotesis atau hubungan. Okay, so for the next one, berdasarkan Raja 3, cadangkan satu cara untuk meningkatkan paras air di Q. Semakin laju sebab tube tu sempit, macam mana nak bina ayat? Semakin laju sebab tube sempit. That one is basically you are actually giving reason tube tu sempit. But this one is hypothesis, which means that semakin laju, laju berdalur. Apa yang dikaitkan dalam soalan ni ialah MV, which is the laju of the berdalur. It's not something whether they ask you to give an inference or justification for your answer. Membesarkan saiz diameter saluran air. Yes, correct. So, untuk soalan ni, we can either membesarkan saiz diameter saluran air or memperlahankan aliran air, which will actually reduce the pressure. Okay, we will skip that question first. Okay, so for this question, Raja Lapan menunjukkan sekeping duit shilling dan sehelai daun kering dilepaskan secara serentak dari ketinggian yang sama di dalam sebuah bekas vacuum. Apakah MV dengan RV? Yes, but jenis barang. So MV ialah jenis barang yang dilepaskan or digunakan. Because in this experiment we can see jenis barang yang digunakan ialah duit shilling dan daun kering. So jenis barang ialah berbeza. Dan RV ialah RV ialah masa yang diambil untuk Okay, so the first question, berdasarkan Raja Lapan, apakah daya yang bertindak ke atas kedua-dua objek ini? Yes. Gravitational force. Daya, gravity. Apakah yang akan berlaku kepada masa yang diambil untuk objek jatuh jika duit shilling dan sehelai daun kering dijatuhkan dalam balang galas yang mengandungi udara? Wajarkan jawapan anda. So, Okay. So the time taken for the coin is to fall is faster than the dry leaf because the weight of the coin is bigger, or you can also state the air resistance is acting upon the gravitational force and also any other reasons. So basically this one mark is actually for your answer untuk masa yang diambil, and 1 mark is for your justification. If what? Air resistance in Malay, rintangan udara. Okay, so whatever justification you give must be something which is related to the time taken. If you put the time taken for the coin to fall is faster, but then you put the weight of the dry leaf is bigger than the coin, then the answer is not related to your justification, which will only give you 1 mark for the question. Okay, so this is actually one type of question where they actually test you untuk wajaran konstruk mencipta. This is actually a spotted question for this year where they actually ask you to write the procedure. They have given you the procedure for the 4th one. For 1, 2, 3, you have to actually come up with your own procedure, and they have already given you all the bahan dan radas. So, according to the bahan dan radas yang diberikan, you have to come up with the experiment and write the steps. So, what is the step to actually write here? So, here they are saying, asking you to menyediakan payung terjun ringkas. So, the first step is to cut the plastic . Okay, so first you cut the plastic into round or square shapes, and then you tie a string on each of the plastic corner, and you will glue each of the end of the string to the paper cup using the cellophane tape. And finally, observe the condition of the egg after the parachute is dropped from the 3rd floor. This is basically fully on creating the experiment with the materials that they have given. Sometimes they will not give you these materials and they expect you to create the experiment using your own materials. If they are giving something like that, then it's an open-ended question where you can actually write anything, but if your experiment is matching to whatever situation that they have given, which is to drop an egg without breaking it, then it's acceptable. Okay, so for the last question, question 11, this is also a trial paper. So basically, what is the MV and RV? You already know the thing which is changed is the sabon M and sabon N. So the MV will become jenis sabun, but what they have mentioned more particular is that yang berbeza kepekatan. So, jenis sabun yang berbeza kepekatan. Since they are particularly changing the concentration in this experiment. So the RV will become the rate of reaction. Basically, when you use this jenis sabun yang berbeza kepekatan, what you are going to measure is actually the kadar tindak balas. Okay, so we go to the first question, which is nyatakan satu pernyataan masalah daripada maklumat di atas. So, pernyataan masalah ialah adakah, which is kata soal, okey, so pernyataan masalahnya ialah adakah kepekatan bahan tindak balas meningkatkan kadar tindak balas. So, kepekatan bahan tindak balas ialah MV and kadar tindak balas ialah RV. Okey, so yang seterusnya hipotesis. Apakah hipotesis untuk eksperimen ini? Basically, you have your MV, you have your RV. So, if you put in the statement, you will get semakin tinggi kepekatan semakin tinggi kepekatan bahan tindak balas, semakin tinggi or bertambah kadar tindak balas. Which means that if you increase the concentration of the reactants, the rate of the reaction will also increase. Tak jatuh secara serentak, jisim lebih berat jatuh dulu sebab ada rintangan udara. Yes, for the just now question, the answer is correct. Jawapan step kena ikut skema jawapan ke. For the procedures, yes, it has to follow, because if the procedure is not following step by step, then you can't actually do the second step first as compared with the first step. So first you really need to cut, then only you can go with the tire string and glue each end. Okay, so for this one, as I mentioned before, this is actually a merangka experiment question. So untuk merangka eksperimen, all you need is the MV and the RV. So if you have the MV and the RV, you can actually do all this question. And as I said, do in a table form. So it's easier for you to actually note back your answers. So if will be your tujuan eksperimen and second one will be your pembelian ubah dimanipulasi dan cara mengawalnya. And third is your lakaran susunan radas yang berlabel. If you see it's 3 marks basically, which means that the experiment might have 2 diagrams, or you can also draw 1 diagram, but make sure that you actually label your diagram. Label your diagram according to the MV and RV, and then you have the pemerhatian, jangkaan pemerhatian. So what do you expect, what do you predict to see from this experiment? And finally is the satu langkah berjaga-jaga. This langkah berjaga-jaga can be anything that you actually feel that would make this experiment better. For the expected observation, you can actually write by statement to mention whether what is the observation that you actually want to see in this experiment, or you can draw a table as well. Maybe if for this experiment they have changed the concentration of the sodium thiosulfate. So basically the MV is the concentration and the RV is the time taken for the X marks to disappear. And then you can maybe put 0.2 and 0.04, and maybe the time taken for 0.2 is lower than 0.4. So you can also do in a statement form, or you can also do in a table form. Okay, so alright, so that's all from me today.
Right. My turn. Alright, give a round of applause to all of you. Can we say thank you, Cikgu Karthi? Okay, thank you so much guys. Before you guys keluar, akan nak you guys isi feedback form sehelai je yang kat belakang tu. Isi semua. Untuk online student, you guys pun kena isi boleh jumpa untuk pass feedback.
Many students make huge mistakes.
What school is not teaching you is
Elon Musk's secret to being successful is
Rahsia untuk menjadi pelajar cemerlang adalah
Aren't you all tired of all this information? All these misleading titles and all you want is just to get straight to the point? Let's say goodbye to them and join IGCSEflix.com so that you can experience the difference.